And by the way, I agree with disavowing veganism. It brings you horrible effects to your health to not eat meat. Our bodies are designed to consume meat.
What is going on, guys? So today we're going to be responding to a video response from Candace Owens toward the ex-vegan Nikocado. She made a very strong claim concerning veganism. And in my view, it's always very convenient when somebody accompanies a very strong claim with evidence. I mean, after all, a very strong claim requires very strong evidence. So here's the clip of Candace Owens making the claim and then providing evidence.
He actually arrived on the scene. He did his first video on YouTube talking about how he was a vegan his whole life and he now disavows veganism. And in that video, of course, he was very youthful. He was svelte. He was small. Look at him. Look at this picture. If you're listening to this, he's just a rather small person. And by the way, I agree with disavowing veganism. It brings you horrible effects to your health to not eat meat. Our bodies are designed to consume meat.
Oh, sorry, never mind, I forgot. She actually didn't provide any evidence for her claims. How original. Should we make use of Hitchens' razor and just dismiss the video, saying something like, oh, well, that which can be asserted without evidence can also be dismissed without evidence? Or should we become victim to Brandolini's law and spend a disproportionate amount of time in relation to how long it took Candace to make her claim, trying to refute her claim? Well, as I always say on my channel, adopting Hitchens' razor in this video would make for a very boring video. So instead of using Hitchens' razor, we are going to collectively suffer at the hands of Brandolini's law and try to contend with her claims with some of the best evidence we have on the subject. We're going to look at the Adventist Health Study, which included vegans, a systematic review and meta-analysis, another systematic review and meta-analysis, and a systematic review on nutrient intake and status in adults consuming plant-based diets compared to meat eaters. If what Candace is saying is correct, surely the health outcomes of vegans and vegetarians will always be bad. Yeah, it's true. That is the logical entailment of what Candace Owens is saying. She says in reference to veganism, it brings you horrible effects to your health to not eat meat. Our bodies are designed to consume meat.
It brings you horrible effects to your health to not eat meat. Our bodies are designed to consume meat.
Now, just notice two things. First, notice that I can actually refer to myself as evidence to refute her claim, because her claim is that you will always have horrible effects to your health if you don't eat meat. If I show just one example of positive health outcomes without the consumption of meat, boom, her claim is falsified. Check out my video going over my blood work if you want that n=1 evidence refuting her claims. Here's the second thing I want you to notice. Notice that what she said also extends to vegetarians, because she said, quote, it brings horrible effects to your health to not eat meat. So we don't even have to use data on vegans to refute her claims. We could just use data on vegetarians. You will see a lot of the data I touch on for vegans actually also touch on vegetarians. She followed up that original quote with saying, what we are not consumed to do is to just consume everything under the sun.
What we are not consumed to do is to just consume everything under the sun.
Now, I don't know what somebody means when they say what we are not consumed to do. Jokes aside, of course, she just misspoke and meant to say designed to do. I'm just not too fond of her, so I decided to point this out. I find it funny. Obviously, I misspeak too. Everybody does, but yeah, what we are not consumed to do.
What we are not consumed to do.
Amazing stuff. So let's now see how Candace's claim holds up against the evidence. I want to start with the Adventist Health Study on vegetarians, which included vegans. If we take a brief look at the study, we see that the study involved 73,308 participants after certain exclusion criteria. The goal of this paper was to evaluate the association between vegetarian dietary patterns and mortality. The participants were broken up into 5 dietary pattern groups. They were non-vegetarian, semi-vegetarian, pesco-vegetarian, lacto-ovo-vegetarian, and vegan. So according to what Candace said, the lacto-ovo-vegetarian group and the vegan group, both of which exclude meat, should result in horrible health outcomes.
It brings you horrible effects to your health to not eat meat.
Let's see if that's the case. Oh, and let it also be mentioned that this paper adjusted for confounding factors such as sex, race, geographic region, personal income, educational level, marital status, smoking, alcohol use, exercise, sleep, menopausal status of women, hormone therapy in postmenopausal women, dietary energy, and BMI. What they found was that vegetarian diets were associated with lower all-cause mortality with some reductions in cause-specific mortality. And the subset of vegetarians that were vegan had a significantly reduced risk in both sexes combined for other mortality and in men for all-cause mortality, ischemic heart disease mortality, and cardiovascular disease mortality. Under the hypothesis by Candace Owens that not consuming meat will lead to horrible health effects, we would not expect to see this evidence. Let's continue with some more evidence. In this paper titled Vegetarian, Vegan Diets and Multiple Health Outcomes, a systematic review with meta-analysis of observational studies, the conclusion states that this comprehensive meta-analysis reports a significant protective effect of a vegetarian diet versus the incidence and or mortality from ischemic heart disease and incidence from total cancer. It goes on to say that the vegan diet conferred a significant reduced risk of incidence from total cancer. In this meta-analysis of prospective cohort studies, it was found that vegetarian diets are associated with reduced risk of cardiovascular disease and ischemic heart disease, but not stroke, but further studies are needed on stroke. These findings should be considered in dietary guidelines. And lastly, this paper must be mentioned as a defeater for the very simplistic notion that if you don't eat meat, you will be unhealthy. The fact is that you can be healthy on a diet which contains meat or a diet which does not contain meat. This is because a diet with meat and a diet without meat both require adequate planning, and without adequate planning can result in nutrient deficiencies. If you look at the table from this paper, you'll find that vegans can be at risk for inadequacy of EPA, DHA, vitamin B12, vitamin D, calcium, iodine, iron in women, and zinc, while also having higher intake of fiber, polyunsaturated fats, alpha-linoleic acid, vitamin B1, B6, vitamin C, vitamin E, folate, and magnesium. And many of these nutrients, which vegans tend to get more of, meat eaters are at risk of being deficient in. The point here is that vegan diets, vegetarian diets, and meat-eating diets all require planning and have their own specific pitfalls. And if planned appropriately, all three diets can be healthy. A diet not including meat is not a 100% indicator that the diet will be unhealthy, as Candace seems to suggest. Here's a paper demonstrating that a vegan diet can be healthy with proper supplementation and planning. I'm sure we all understand that Candace Owens and her very conservative audience is going to be very susceptible to a message like, if you don't eat meat, you're going to be unhealthy because, you just need meat. Meat is manly. The whole conservative kind of notion that, we just need meat. Go meat. The thought process that basically requires 3 brain cells. But this is just not true. A diet with meat can be unhealthy. A diet without meat can be healthy. A diet without meat can be unhealthy. Vegan, vegetarian, and meat-eating diets require some kind of planning in order to be healthy. What a crazy concept. All right, guys, that's the end of the video. So it seems that the evidence does not suggest that not consuming meat will lead to horrible health outcomes. And just remember that her original claim was so bold and strong that I didn't even need to go into all this evidence concerning thousands of people. I could have just shown you my video on my blood work and my health outcomes as somebody who does not consume any meat and doesn't have horrible health outcomes. I don't think Candace understands truly how bold of a claim she made. All right, guys, that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you support my work and want to get early access to it, you can click the link in the pinned comment and support me on Patreon. And if you don't know, I do have a book going over most, if not all, of the anti-vegan arguments you're going to hear online. If you want to get that as well, that'll be linked in the pinned comment. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Dude,
fuck off. I don't want anything to do with you. Don't ever speak to me again. You're a fucking piece of shit.
Even vegans don't get your weird, stupid wannabe sense of irony here. Who is your audience? Nobody gets these dumb jokes. Dude,